So like many dads in America, I have coached both of my sons' baseball team for many, many years, especially when they're little. And what happens is you send them out into left field, day number one. But what goes on is they're all horsing around, they're bumping into each other, they're kicking, they're sliding. And what ends up happening is you have to yell as a coach the magic words. Spread out! Because absolutely nothing gets done. What I found is when you're too dadgum close, it magnifies real or imaginary issues that you got with your neighbors. Traffic makes you angry. People start putting up red light cameras at every single intersection, so you're always stressed out rolling through a red light. The kids got nowhere to play because they live on a dang postage stamp. And all you hear from dawn to dusk is leaf blowers and sirens. Any of this sound familiar? Makes you wonder why anybody would ever choose to live in the burbs. I've always had a pioneer spirit, and basically what comes with that is you let the dogs run loose outside. I got a big old burn pile I can stack 15 feet high if I want to and send her on up. Pretty much everything in here is peaceful. I can pee anywhere in my backyard. If you can't take a leak in your own backyard, you ain't living. But there was a time when I had to live in a HOA. I had to live in a homeowners association down there in Florida where I was being held prisoner of war for about 20 years. And the way it went down was I lived next door to not only a guy who was the HOA member, but the HOA president, who hated, by the way, my country ass. The qualifications for being a homeowners association president is basically having your lunch money taken in 5th grade and being absolutely horrible at everything you ever attempt. And thinking that you were the best thing that ever walked planet Earth. Matter of fact, Liz Cheney and Colin Kaepernick would be awesome HOA presidents wherever they live. The war and the civil feud between the two of us basically started one day when he messed with my kids. You mess with my kids, it's over. I got 2 boys at the time. They are 2 and 3 years old, and they were feeding these mean birds down in there in Florida called sandhill cranes. Have you ever seen those things? You just want to run them over. I mean, these things are evil, but they're feeding the birds. His wife, she's a PETA member, by the way, so they're already 2 sandwiches shy of a picnic, but she does not just come over, she sends emails, my wife, the Florida statute number 120 section B, blah, 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 over here to her email account stating how you cannot feed these specific kind of birds. And we're sitting here thinking, who does that? Who in the world does that? So I'm like, at that point, I see you and I don't like you, which it takes a long, long time to get me mad. But you're working on my nerves now. Second thing that happened was I had a contained fire in a metal fire pit. Everything's fine. In Florida, that's absolutely perfectly legal. Burning some leaves one day. Fire department shows up. The dadgum fire department. I'm sitting here thinking, yeah, can I help you? Fire chief walks around the back and just laughs. He goes, your neighbor called on you. He said you're burning leaves. The whole thing's contained. Me and him are gonna go over and have a little talk now. I said, good, I hope you do. So from that day on, I kept a little stockpile of leaves. This is where it gets good. And I would wait until the wind would get absolutely perfect because I know they absolutely loved sitting on their back porch. And they would sit there by their pool for hours and hours and hours, especially on a summer day when it was real hot and they would swim. And their little future liberal kids would be sitting out there listening to, you know, Rachel Maddow or whatever they were being groomed for. And I would smoke them out. I'd make the biggest pile of leaves, especially if you've seen dead leaves. You know what kind of smoke I'm talking about. Ain't no smoke bomb from Black Cat can equal what I did. And I'd take the leaf blower, and I would just crank it up. It'd go over the fence and smoke them out. Because it was contained, because I'm not God and I can't control the wind, they couldn't do nothing about it. I'd killed 2 deer up in Georgia. Long drive back, most of these things were left up at the processor, but they had bled out. And I had to get this stuff out of my truck bed. So I backed my tire on down right to where the driveway meets the curb. And I took the pressure washer and just started doing rows, man. And every single row, it just got redder and redder and redder. And then the way the neighborhood was designed, it basically sloped down not only toward his driveway, but it didn't drain out. It just sat there and the blood piled up bigger and bigger and bigger. He comes rolling in his little electric car with his coexist bumper sticker on the back, and the man almost had simultaneous panic attacks unequal to anything I've ever seen in my entire life. He's like, who does this? Who does this? I said, son, let me ask you something. Who sends and emails their next door neighbor the Florida statute saying what kind of birds a 2-year-old can feed? You brought down the thunder. Now it's time you answer for it. My advice is to get out of the burbs while you still can, while you still got your soul. If not, Hey, keep on wearing your sister's jeans, driving a compact car, and when you and me have to go head to head in competition for food one day, I won't have nothing to worry about.